Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. When someone says Capri, what comes to mind? Yachts, right? Instagram influencers in white linen. That Blue Grotto photo everyone posts. Maybe you're picturing billionaires sipping champagne while you're thinking, yeah, no, that's not for me. I thought the same thing. But here's the thing nobody tells you about Capri. It's not actually one island pretending to be paradise. It's two completely different places that just happen to share the same rock. The locals don't even call it Capri. They call it La Rocha, the rock, which, if you're trying to sell luxury tourism, is possibly the worst branding in history. But it tells you everything you need to know about how the people who actually live here see this place. This is the Piazzetta. In about 2 hours, it'll be packed. Selfie sticks, tour groups, a cappuccino that costs what you'd pay for dinner in Naples. But right now, it's just this. And this is the version of Capri I accidentally stumbled into. The one that exists in the cracks between the cruise ship schedule. Okay, so the boutique shopping thing is real. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. There's Gucci, there's Prada, there's a shop selling a single cashmere sweater for the price of a used car. And I get it, it's easy to roll your eyes at this, to write off the whole island as some kind of open-air mall for people with more money than sense. But then you notice those hand-painted ceramic street signs, every one unique, come from a centuries-old Italian pottery tradition. They predate the luxury boutiques by generations. And if you just keep walking, past the Prada, past the Performance, you find these alleys that don't make sense in a luxury destination. These aren't for tourists. They're too narrow, too steep, no Instagram-friendly lighting. They're just functional, medieval. These stairways are ancient. Some trace back to classical times. The Phoenician Steps may even be Greek in origin. Legends about Saracen raids exist, but the real history is older and messier. Which is a sentence I didn't expect to say about an island famous for yacht parties. This is where it gets weird. This is Villa Jovis. 2,000 years ago, Emperor Tiberius stood exactly where I'm standing and made decisions that shaped the entire Roman Empire. From here, he could have seen ships approaching from any direction. Total control, total isolation, which, honestly, feels like a metaphor for something, but I'm not sure what. Maybe that's always been Capri's thing. Power trying to escape itself, wealth trying to buy privacy, and then accidentally building something that outlasts them. So here's where it clicked for me. I'm in this chairlift, floating over Anacapri, and I'm reading the research I did before this trip. And it says there's this fierce rivalry between Capri Town, down there, and Anacapri, up here. And I'm thinking, okay, sure, cute local color, probably exaggerated. And then I meet this woman at the top. She's from Anacapri. And I ask her something stupid, like, do you go down to Capri Town a lot? And she looks at me like I just asked if she enjoys root canals. That's where I work, she says. I don't live there. These are the Phoenician Steps, about 921 stone steps. They were the island's main route up to Anacapri until the 19th century carriage road, 1874, was built. And despite the name, historians think the steps may date back to ancient Greek times. And I'm about 200 steps in, already winded, when I realize every loaf of bread, every piece of furniture, every child going to school, everything had to come up or down these steps for centuries. No wonder they have a separate identity. This is Le Boffe. It's one of Anacapri's oldest neighborhoods, and between 2 and 4:30 p.m., it basically shuts down. Riposo, midday rest. And this is where I have to tell you something the tourism board probably doesn't want me to say. I walked through here once during Riposo, not knowing the rules, and I got the look. You know the look. The you're being rude and you don't even realize it look. Because to them, this isn't a tourist attraction. This is their living room. And you wouldn't walk through someone's living room wearing a swimsuit and taking photos, would you? Well, some people would, apparently, but you shouldn't. This guy's name is Marco. He's making sandals the way his grandfather did, the way his great-grandfather did. The whole process takes about 20 minutes. He measures your foot, cuts the leather, hammers everything together right in front of you. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking about the Prada store down in Capri Town. And I'm not trying to be all authentic craftsmanship versus corporate fashion about it, but there's something about watching someone make the thing that's going to touch your skin, using their hands, their knowledge, that connects you to this place in a way that buying a logo never will. Jackie Kennedy bought sandals here in the 60s, but that's not why Marco does this. He does it because it's what you do if you're from here. It's who you are. Most visitors queue for the Blue Grotto. There's an entrance fee set locally, recently 18 euros, and boat transfers on top of that. The visit inside is very short, just a few minutes, and the total cost and timing depends on the operator and the season. The locals are here. Same watercolor, same island, 0 entrance fee, 0 crowds. I don't know if that makes me feel smart for finding it, or kind of sad that there's a local version and a tourist version of the same beautiful thing. Maybe both. Okay, so I need to talk about something uncomfortable. This boat trip, this private Gozzo experience that I'm currently filming, this costs more than some people here make in a week. And these rocks, the faraglioni, they're the symbol of Capri. They've been here for millennia. They'll be here long after we're all gone. But the thing is, they're not enough anymore. Capri can be overwhelmed in summer. Reuters reported as many as 16,000 visitors a day at peak season, far outnumbering the island's residents. They arrive at 10 a.m., they leave at 6 p.m. They see the Blue Grotto, take a photo with the Piazzetta, buy some limoncello, and leave. And the locals? Local officials have been discussing incentives to push homes back into long-term rental. Recent local reports from December 2025 even mention proposed property tax breaks for landlords who rent to residents. That sounds promising, but check the municipality's official page before you repeat it as law. Locals told Reuters that only about 20% of some school staff actually live on the island now. The rest commute from the mainland. The rest commute 50 minutes each way from Naples because they can't afford rent on the island they serve. And then this happens. The last ferry leaves and the island exhales. The performance ends. The locals come out. That's Pezzogna all'acqua pazza, red sea bream cooked in crazy water, tomatoes, garlic, olive oil, seawater from the shore. It's called crazy water because fishermen used to make it right on the boat with whatever they had.
Peasant food, except now it's served in restaurants that tourists search for. And I'm part of that. I'm recommending it to you right now, which means I'm part of the thing that's slowly changing it. I don't have a solution to that. I'm just telling you it's real.
So here's what I figured out about Capri. It's not one island. It's not even just 2 islands. It's 1,000 different islands, depending on when you show up and how you choose to see it.
There's the Instagram island, the luxury island, the Roman history island, the medieval fortress island, the locals-only island that appears after 6 p.m. And they're all real. They all exist simultaneously, and they're all kind of at war with each other. The family that's been making sandals for 4 generations, they need the tourists, but they also resent them. Not personally, just the sheer volume, the entitlement. The woman who walked into the workshop wearing a bikini and got offended when asked to put on a shirt. The boutique owners? They're making money, but their kids can't afford to live here anymore. Capri is a rock, a stubborn, vertical, impossible rock that's been here for millions of years. It survived the Romans. It survived the pirates. It survived the 1950s jet-set invasion. It'll survive Instagram. What I'm less sure about is whether the Caprese will survive Capri. The people, I mean, the sandal makers and the fishermen and the grandmothers who still make ravioli by hand every Sunday. The ones who say buongiorno like they mean it, and who judge you, gently but firmly, when you forget that their town is their living room. So if you go, and you should go, honestly, despite all the complexity, here's my advice. Learn to say buongiorno, not as a tourist trick, as a genuine acknowledgement that you're entering someone else's space. Skip the Blue Grotto. Take the Sentiero dei Fortini instead. Stay past 6 p.m. See what the island becomes when it stops performing. Buy your sandals from someone who learned the craft from their grandfather. And maybe, just maybe, if enough of us do that, the island can remain both things at once, a place that welcomes the world and a home that belongs to the people who never left.